Hi guys, so this video is on how to remove the Ferrari 458 interior door sill or sill plates or kick plates, whatever you want to call them, and basically these here. Now some people want to remove them to insert carbon plates. In my case I'm going to do that as well, but not just yet. My carbon plates are coming only next year in the summer. Here it's winter season and I'm going to be protecting them with a layer of black PlastiDip. So I'm PlastiDipping these and I'm going to get a lot of shit for that. I bet there's a lot of people who are going to say don't change the color, this and that. Don't worry, you can change PlastiDip back to original, you can just tear it off. More on that in a minute. But basically I want to black them out to also protect them because I'm driving this car in the winter. So we're going to remove them now and I'll show you what I did. That's how I learned how to remove them on the 458. Not sure if there's any other way. The simple thing here is they're only glued in place, so there's no clips or anything in the back, so that's easy. They're literally just glued in place. So I'll show you now how to remove that. So I've used the nylon or plastic trim panel removal kit. I used the big boy here to remove this plate. Was able to distribute the most force. Basically I had a smaller one as well, but this one is not strong enough in my opinion, so I used the wider one. And for me it was best, or at least in my case, I found that in the center where the text is, basically it was easiest to insert the removal tool and basically inserted it here. Now mind you, I've already removed this panel once, so it won't come off as easy as it does here. I'll do the other side in a second and then show you how it's done on that side. But basically I just wiggled it in here and then just pulled it to the sides and did the same on the other side and popped it. Like I said, it's just glued on, there's no clips. And this is the other side of it, the bottom. You can see these double-sided tapes here holding it in place. Now you'll just have to replace those later if you put them back. These are now worn out basically. Gives me a chance to clean this up a little bit as well. I'll remove some of this residual double-sided tape here. And like I said before, this piece I'm going to black it out, not with paint, but with PlastiDip. So again, it can be removed later, and I will do so in the summer. And then maybe late summer I'll install the carbon fiber kick plate or sill plate to match the carbon seats and the carbon interior. So that's coming later. But for now, as I'm driving this in the winter, I'll be putting a protective layer of PlastiDip on that. And I'll show you what else I did with PlastiDip. So here's the black PlastiDip. I did the front logo or the front badging. This removes with 2 bolts or 2 nuts in the back. And then we have, unfortunately I didn't do a video on that. I have pictures, I'll insert those now. And here in the back we have the rear horse, the logo. This one removes quite simply. Down here underneath there's 2 nuts holding that in place and you can just pull it off. And I felt it was easier to use the PlastiDip on the logos and on the text. I did the text as well. I felt it was easier to do that with them removed. People have done it with the badging in place. I think that removing them will give you the best chance of best coverage basically of the PlastiDip, or paint if you're going to paint it for that matter. Obviously if you're painting you should remove the logo, but in PlastiDip you can leave it on, but I prefer to take it off. So like I said here, the text done as well. This one removes quite simply. You just have these clips holding it in place on either side. And then there's a couple of letters, and at least mine had a couple of letters with double-sided protective tape underneath. Very thin, not as thick as on the sill plates. So right, I did those, and I'll be doing the kick plates as I mentioned. I think it'll give it a nice blacked out look, as well as a protective seal. Like I said, I'll be driving this car in the winter. I wanted to protect the logos as well. This one had a bit of oxidation already, and the front one as well, so that's protected now. I'll be driving in the winter with a lot of salt and dirty roads, So I hope that'll give it a protective layer, and then in the summer I'll pull that off and we'll have the original logos back in the chrome gloss finish. So I'll do the other side now and I'll show you how that's done. It's probably going to be a bit tricky with one hand holding the camera, but I'll give it a try. Bear with me. So I removed a bit of the taping on the removal tool. It was a little bit too thick on the tip, on the edge here, so I removed a bit. Now I'm just going to pull to the back, basically just ripping through the double-sided tape. You'll hear that and you'll be scared, you know, that you're breaking something, but it's really just the tape, the double-sided tape releasing. Now when you're on this side and you have this tool, be really careful. It's a bit sharp when you're in here that you don't hit the interior door. Not that it happened to me. Cough, cough. So there we go. So remove the top layer. Now it's also glued at the bottom. I don't want to bend it too much to distort the shape. But basically, once you've got the bottom side or one of the sides open, you can just wiggle it off, take the tool out, and it's still stuck a bit here. Come on. There we go. That should do it. Nope. Bring up a fight. Don't want to bend it too much. There it is. That was installed quite well. Now there you have it, same double-sided tape, and it's removed perfectly in shape. Nothing is bent, no dents, no holes, no nothing. So now we're going to remove the double-sided tape on the back. It's actually quite simple to remove. You can just peel it off like so. It's going to take a while to remove everything.
1 hour later.
So I've switched the setup a little bit to remove the double-sided tape. It works well with your hands, but it takes quite a long time. So I've switched to the adhesive removal wheel, which bolts into your electric or battery-powered drill machine, and that works quite well. I didn't want to use any cutting tools because you'll scratch the surface. And this tool, if anyone doesn't know it, it's used to remove the badging or emblems on cars. So after you've removed the emblems on cars, usually you have some residue left, some adhesive residue left, and basically with this tool you can remove this residue. Again, I'm doing this with one hand, so it's quite difficult. But you can see that it removes a fair bit of the adhesive. With two hands it's a lot easier. You have to secure the plate, obviously, you don't want it to fly around. It removes a lot of the adhesive, and that makes it a lot easier. And I've been on this sill plate for about 10 minutes now, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I've removed most of the adhesive, the double-sided tape. So it's working quite well. I think total time with PlastiDip, we're going to be looking at an hour and a half, 2 hour job here. So here's the finished product. Looks pretty good. Nicely coated. I did about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 coats. I didn't film each individual coat of spraying. There's a lot better videos on YouTube on how to spray PlastiDip. I didn't want to bore you with my commentary on how to do it. So I did 4 or 5 or 6 coats, and this is how it turned out. And now we're gonna install the double-sided tape, and then we're gonna install them on the car. So I'll put the double-sided tape down as it was original, at least as how I discovered it. So I'll put a strip down here along the long side, one going across the center, a thin one through the top, in between, and then in between these two ridges as well. So I've got one side down. I'll install this first, put that into place, and then see how it looks. So I'll really clean up all the old residue of the old adhesive. So it's pretty much impossible to film this and install it at the same time. But I'm sure you can imagine you just have to release the other side of the tape. And then basically what I did is I started at the top and then pivoted down this way and then pushed it into place. Now I'm just double checking to have everything secured. And that's that. Let me get a different angle. So I'm quite pleased with that. So I have a lot of passengers in this car, and you know, you can imagine with your feet dragging along the sill, it's gonna get scratched up a bit. So I think this protection is really nice, especially now in the winter. So I'm quite happy with that. I like the look. It kind of blends in with the rest of the cockpit, basically. Yeah, this is not black on this side, but it kind of matches a bit, and it's not so much in your face. So I can't wait to get the carbon ones next summer, but I'm already pleased with this temporary solution. And here's the other side installed. Looks pretty fresh.